All right. Okay. So it's Aladdin. It was the live action remake. How excited were you for this?
I remember when they first announced it, and my initial reaction was like, awesome. And then Robin Williams died.
Oh. I'm glad you got some bleakness into this video.
And I was like, how are they going to do this?
Yeah.
It's such an iconic role. I guess my first thought was, there's no way. I just assumed he was going to come back to voice the Genie. Like, at no point did it cross my mind that it was going to be anybody else.
Was the movie announced before he died?
I feel like it was.
See, I don't remember it being because he passed and.
Or at least there was rumors about.
Okay, that's fair.
And I remember thinking, but they're only gonna. I remember thinking, hearing it, going,
there's only one person.
There's only one way they make this, and I was like, he has to reprise his role.
Yeah.
Because, and we watched the cartoon version.
Yeah, not too long ago, we both watched it just to get ready for
the live action version.
Remake.
I mean, I think we both wanted it for comparison's sake. I think it had been a while. I mean, it had been at least 3 or 4 years for me since I'd seen it.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I probably had seen it in the past year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it had been a little more recent.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in 3 or 4 years, but when we were rewatching it, that movie is completely carried by the Genie.
Uh-huh. That was something. It was a weird realization that I had, and I turned to you. I was like, oh,
I don't know.
I was like, this movie is okay, and then Genie comes along, and it changes how you feel about the movie. And what happens is you walk away.
What's good about that cartoon version is the fact that there's only about 20 minutes before you get to the Genie.
Yes.
And it's an hour and a half long.
The cartoon, it's hour and a half long with credits.
Yeah.
You take out the credits, this is an hour and 20-something movie. The live-action movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. And all right, so let's start out just general opinion of this movie. It felt long.
Yes.
And it's as you're watching it, for me, I felt like you do have that realization of like, oh, there's a reason that the cartoon was barely an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And
they kept it tight. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you felt like they...
Right when it felt like it would start to kind of drag along a little bit, it was like, nope, it would cut right next to what you needed to. And in this, they kind of linger on certain things a little bit longer than you need to.
And they've added some stuff that probably did need to be added.
Yeah,
but not all of it's bad.
Well, here's the thing.
But it adds to the length of the movie.
In a way, though, it's like I understand why they would want to add it, because they want to have a little bit longer of a movie. But at the same time,
necessary?
That's exactly right. Is it necessary?
And I guess the thinking was maybe we don't have Robin Williams to carry us through, and we've got to spend more time.
But no.
But spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it: Will Smith.
What I did, I actually did.
Does it compare to Robin Williams? No.
God, no.
Robin Williams it's one of the few cartoon roles, and we had this discussion while we were watching it, where I feel like he should have been nominated.
He should have gotten some like honorary Oscar.
Yeah.
Or since that portrayal of Genie, there should have been some voice actor Oscar.
Yeah,
because it's incredible.
You watch it, and it is amazing what he did with it. And
while watching this movie, I had the realization, it's not. I mean, Robin Williams obviously great performance, but I was like, it's Genie.
Yeah.
Because honestly, in the original movie, you said 20 minutes is before you're introduced to Genie. In this, it's like 30. And I really...
30, I want to say it's pushing.
I think it's about... 40. I would say it's about 30.
But I remember sitting there going, when are they going to get this? When are they going to introduce the Genie?
When Genie comes along, it really... It gives you some energy. It gives you some life to the movie because...
And Will Smith does a good job. And he gives it its own spin.
He gives his own take on it. And this is the first performance in a while from Will Smith where I was like...
Oh, yeah.
I walked away thinking...
Absolutely.
I was reminded that I really liked Will Smith.
Yes, and he's very watchable.
Mm-hmm. He's incredibly watchable.
Especially when he's doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since he's done
No,
comedy.
I
He's
personally
good at
thought he did the role of Genie justice. I thought he did. And what's crazy is when he was cast, a lot of people had a problem. They were like, God, he's just not going to compare. Mm-hmm. And what they should have focused on is casting of other people in this movie. And I don't know if this is writing. I don't know what, but Marwan Kinsari is a gentleman. He played Jafar.
Yeah.
Now, Jafar in the cartoon seemed to be someone that was about 50.
Yeah, I would even say late 50s.
Like, he seemed older.
He seemed older, and that I felt like that made him a more not menacing, but creepier character, mm-hmm. because Jasmine was obviously supposed to be...
she was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
And this guy is like 30s.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And the way he's portrayed... I actually walked away, and I truly do think he actually gave a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
But it was like the character...
I don't think his performance was bad as much as the way the character was written.
Correct.
And the casting.
They casted him, and he did his job. He did exactly what he needed to do, but it just wasn't the same. Like, this guy who's like 30 years old, and the old Jafar or the cartoon Jafar... seemed like you could understand why the Sultan would be tricked by him.
Yeah.
And this new Jafar
is like all magic.
Exactly.
Everything is...
He's only convincing him, and he's only tricking the Sultan because of magic. There's not... Like, in the cartoon, it seemed like he genuinely was good at just... At
he was snake-like.
Yeah, he was, like, conniving, you know? Like... And in
he was good with words. Mm-hmm. He made things sound good.
And and when he would talk to the Sultan, he would butter up the Sultan and say kind of whatever the Sultan would want to hear. And
Sultan was also written a little different too.
Yeah,
the Sultan was very.
And this he was with it.
Yeah.
In the cartoon, he seemed like drunk all the time. But in this one, he's a very average, normal, what you would expect from a character like that, like a Sultan. And Jafar also is openly talking about, we need to go to war. It was like, so you're not even faking being a good guy. Yeah. Like, you're just bad all the way through.
Yeah, and obviously power hungry.
Mm-hmm. There were some flaws.
And at no point during the cartoon did you feel like Jafar... You knew Jafar was power hungry from the way he spoke behind... Like, to the parrot,
mm-hmm.
behind
Iago. Were you mad that Iago, he didn't actually talk?
Yeah.
He was just a parrot. That kind of bummed me out.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they could have incorporated that. But it's okay.
Yeah. But you realize how bad Jafar was with his relationship with his parrot. His presentation in the palace and to royalty, he seemed like a normal guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He
didn't reveal that in the cartoon. They don't reveal that to the end. That what his intentions are to Jasmine.
Yeah.
And
in the cartoon. He was power. In the cartoon, it seemed like he was just jealous he wasn't Sultan.
Yeah. And
in this, he just wanted to be the most powerful thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about the two leads?
Naomi Scott's good.
Naomi Scott's really good. It also helps that she is gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's absolutely stunning.
But no, besides that, she is
great voice.
But she
really, I thought she encapsulated the Princess Jasmine role very well.
Yeah. A little bit of an independent fighter.
Well, except in this, they make that very clear,
very evident. It was It's a different take, and I didn't think it played.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was just it honestly where
she wants to be Sultan
mm-hmm.
in this
one. That's kind of the turn as opposed to the cartoon where Aladdin becomes Sultan and then she marries Aladdin. In this, it's like she's given the power to be Sultan.
Yeah.
Aladdin's able to marry her.
That's fine.
Which is fine.
There is a singing scene.
That's what I was going to talk to.
It seems very out of place.
It felt out of... Well, I understood what they were doing.
And it really showcased her as a singer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There were some notes in that where I was like, damn.
Yeah. But...
It felt strange. I remember it starting to happen. I was like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because it took place at a moment in the movie that was the climax.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it goes back to this movie feeling a little drug out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I said it. We got out of the theater, and my first thing was I hated the final act of this movie
Because of just tons of different
I say hate's a strong word, but
I was about to say
it drug out. It's completely changed from the cartoon, which is fine. But in the cartoon, they almost added. It was, I guess, a device is what you call it. They added a time element to it.
Yeah, but they couldn't do this in the live action one though. If they're trying to make it somewhat realistic, which sounds crazy because there's a genie.
Well, that's my point. It's like, have Jafar turn into a damn snake, put her in an hourglass.
I do wish that was that was something I kept waiting for and it never happened.
Yeah.
Was that Jafar in the cartoon he turns into a king cobra and it's cool looking and I kept waiting for it to happen.
There were two cool things that happened in the cartoon that I was like kind of looking forward to seeing, and I guess one was spoiled by the teaser trailer, but it was like I was looking forward to see the lion come out of the sand.
Yeah. In this, he's just there.
Yeah.
That is a good point. I never even thought about that. But in the cartoon, that was cool that they would. It was almost like you have to stumble across it.
Yeah.
Hey, Bailey, no.
And in this, it's not yet.
It's not.
It's there.
It's just.
And I remember, but again, that was spoiled in the teaser. I knew that was coming, but I wish they'd have done that because I thought that was a cool element. Like you're walking through the desert and this thing appears to you. And remember that it dealt with the bug. Like he had to go to a certain thing, and the two wing it flew off and it landed in the thing, and it was the eyes.
Mm-hmm. Did you like also in the cartoon, Jafar figures out who needs to enter the cave by like some weird device where, remember, he uses Iago the parrot to like run, and all of a sudden it showcases.
It's very much mirror on the wall-esque in the cartoon, and this it shows him who he needs. In this
one, he's pure chance,
and they show him the amount of people he's just going through.
Yeah.
He's pulling poor people off the streets and killing them.
In a way, that's kind of it was a little bit impactful this way to show like no, he was that power hungry that he's killing dozens, hundreds of people just to try and find the diamond in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
So, one complaint that I really had. This movie was directed by Guy Ritchie. Well, okay. We also didn't. We didn't
talk about Aladdin.
We didn't talk about Aladdin. Mena Musad, I think is how you pronounce his name. I had read where some people had some complaints about him, and I thought he did fine.
I actually thought he encapsulated the... If you watch... People need to rewatch the cartoon.
He did a pretty good job. And his singing voice was fine.
Yeah. The way he portrayed Aladdin is very similar to the way he's portrayed the cartoon.
He's very cocky.
Yeah.
The only time I felt... it was weird, even though it was funny, the bit... where he's pretending to be Prince, and he goes into the palace, and the Sultan says like, "What can you offer me?" And he keeps naming jams, like he's like this grape jam, you know.
Yeah.
And that part was really funny, but the part that I didn't like that was written about him was that he became almost like a fumbling, bumbling idiot. Now I get you're trying to be nervous, but it seemed a bit crazy.
Yeah,
But he was at his best when he was being like that cocky, playing it that way because that's how he was in the cartoon. Mm-hmm. But I thought he did actually really pretty good job. And like that's the thing is that like the acting in this really it was. I went into it thinking that would be something I'd be worried about, and I ended up walking out of it. And going like, oh no, they actually did a pretty good job.
I thought the acting was good. And we're about to get into Guy Ritchie.
What made me mad was I was hoping this movie would have Guy Ritchie's style.
Yeah, elements of Guy Ritchie.
It felt very generic.
For anybody who hasn't seen any of Guy Ritchie's
he has a
stuff,
very distinct style.
Not King Arthur, but if you're talking about the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Dude, I watch King Arthur. King Arthur's similar style.
Yeah.
The Sherlock Holmes movies, King Arthur, Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Rock and Rolla are all very similar styles, and he has very unique trademarks as a director and how he films certain things. And none of the and throughout all these movies, he showcases it. He'll do different things, and you're like, that's a Guy Ritchie type thing.
Yeah.
And in this, there is literally maybe two instances.
There's two, and they're quick.
And they're super quick.
Yeah.
And it made me kind of frustrated because I was like, why hire Guy Ritchie if you could have gotten basically anyone to do this? You know? And maybe Guy Ritchie saw it as like a paycheck.
And what it is some the aspects of his movies that he used for these split seconds, it's almost like slow motion reverse sped up. Like, it's weird. It's
no. The part I'm thinking of is he goes into slow motion, but it's literally a 5-second clip, and it's a second where something goes in slow motion.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
That's one little part.
That's the one part. But then,
are you talking about the part with
the lamp?
Yeah, the lamp. Okay.
And that's, you see it once in regular,
and then it's more of like
verse, and then it's almost like it's a
recollection of a memory.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah,
and he does that a lot in his movies, where it's like recollections of things, and it's kind of
yes, and it's either sped up or it goes backwards to see how it happened or whatever. But that was it, and it kind of frustrated me. I was disappointed. You know, I thought the directing was very generic. There was nothing I felt that kind of popped out or
well, it felt like a Disney production that Guy Ritchie just happened.
It felt like that. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they hired him. He started to give like some ideas, and they're like, "Nope, you're not doing that."
Yeah. And
then he may have just been like, "Fine, I'll take this paycheck and I'll be on my way." I am excited for small tangent. Super excited for his next movie. It'll
go back to his roots.
Yeah, that's what I'm really excited for. Songs wise, it's basically, I will say, besides Lion King, Aladdin of the 1990s era Disney movies has some of my favorite music, and all the songs are basically in this new one, and they have 2 new songs, I think, and the 2 new songs they're decent, they're pretty good. But while watching this, the musical numbers are really fun to watch, and I love the songs.
Yeah, and so I thought the 2 scenes, and they're the more memorable scenes, even in the cartoon, I thought were portrayed really well in this. And it's
Never Had a Friend Like Me. God, yeah, I love that song.
And when he's marching into town, what's the name of the song?
Prince Ali, Ali Ababa.
And obviously I don't know the words, but
I like the 2.
But the productions and both those moments in this movie are.
It felt, and I'm not saying this just because it's located in this area. It felt, especially the Prince Ali song where he's coming into town, felt very Bollywood. You know, like it's very bright, vibrant colors, a lot of dancing, singing, dancing, and it felt that way. And it was fun. Those parts were entertaining. Especially, You Got a Friend in Me was a nice.
Or You Got a Friend Like.
You never had a friend like. Not You've Got a Friend in Me. How crazy would that have been? Just the Toy Story soundtrack thrown in. No, Never Had a Friend Like Me. I thought was a pretty good live action updated version of the cartoon, because that part in the cartoon is iconic.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great scene, and in this, I thought it was
a new take, and it was
fun. I thought that part was fun.
Again, everything the Genie did in this movie,
it was entertaining,
and I was like, and my deal was I felt like this was the best portrayal the Genie could have been, not being Robin Williams. They tried it. It was a new take.
We can get into a very long discussion about certain people who I thought could have been Genie, but I thought Will Smith of working actors today, I thought he was actually, in hindsight, pretty good choice.
Yes, and let's get into, and this is one of the first things you asked me after we got out of the theater. How did you feel about, there are moments in this movie where he's walking around as a human and interacting.
If you're comparing it to the cartoon, I thought it actually, after letting it sit for a little bit, it actually, I thought, worked fairly well. But when I was first watching in the movie, I felt strange, because he would walk around as a human and be interacting with people, and he actually plays a very important part as when he's being human.
And part of the story is there's a love interest here.
Yeah, that almost felt like Will Smith. was like, I gotta get some tang. Like I can't. I can't end like this.
No, I didn't feel that at all. I thought it was funny. I thought it played well. I liked it.
It was okay. It was okay. I was a little indifferent towards
that being said, do I wish they would have added that to the cartoon? Absolutely not.
No.
But I think with the Will Smith Genie, it plays pretty well.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it adds to the Genie story because that was part of it. It was like he was.
Yes, he's the guy. The Arabian Nights song at the very beginning of the cartoon. It starts out with Will Smith is telling the story to these two kids. Mm-hmm. And that's how the story of Aladdin starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I remember finding that very strange, but after I've let it settle, it's neither here nor there for me. I thought it was a different take, which I appreciated, but it's nothing that I loved. You know, or I didn't hate it either. You know, so what would you give this movie? A to F scale, like.
And this was something. I don't know. I go back and forth on this because it's something I really wanted to like, and then I went into it, and the more and more I saw of it, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like this at all.
Yeah.
And then I saw it, and I was like, well, it's not terrible. I give it a C+. That's what I give it. I give it a C+.
I don't know. As much as there are certain scenes that are entertaining, it was pretty long, and there were some parts that I'm gonna say almost fell asleep, but it wasn't like that. But I remember thinking like I at no point was I having fun. I know that sounds kind of harsh. There were some Genie parts, I guess, that I would smile or maybe chuckle a little bit at, but at no point was I like truly engaged and having fun.
Oh, see,
because of that, I think it's a pretty faithful adaptation. I'll give it that. It's pretty faithful. The performances are fine, but it felt very long.
It is. It's strung out.
And I just wasn't having as much fun as I wish I could have. I think I'm gonna have to give this one like a C-. I think it's not truly awful. I think you could take your kids, like if you have kids, you could take them to it and they could have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. No, I would recommend going to see it. It is very colorful. There are some entertaining moments. Would I sit here and say this is a great movie or good movie, or does it even compare to the original one, which the story was so tight and so it felt streamlined, mm-hmm. and this is not streamlined at all.
That's all I got to say. I wouldn't. All
right, man. Well, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, we'll give you our take
on what do we do next.
Whatever we want to, man.